I'm locked, loaded, and ready to make shit dead.
Last week, I did perhaps the best video I've ever done, certainly the most heartfelt episode I've ever done. I talked about the game mouthwashing, and I talked about my physical disabilities and my chronic pain issues and how they related, and it was really open and raw, and people assume that wrestling causes those issues I have. I had those issues before wrestling, and I made the point that wrestling helps me cope with my existing physical injuries. And then, almost as if God himself was having a laugh, at the last wrestling show I did this weekend, Pinfall Pro Wrestling, I suffered the worst physical injury I've ever suffered at a wrestling show because I had 2 wrestling matches that day, and in the time between both of them I fell down the stairs. On reflection, it's pretty funny, but more to the point, fucking ow, every single bit of me that could hurt fucking hurts.
Well, who could have imagined it? Commander Stephanie Sterling finally sharing the ring with... I'm sorry, darling, I've forgotten your name.
Last week, Soundcloud falsely accused me of terrorism. To be slightly less dramatic, but much more accurate, Soundcloud accused me of either terrorist, extremist, or criminal activity, or all 3, when it removed a podcast from the Jimquisition podcast feed and cited its reasons for doing so. I have been laughing my ass off about this shit for days, because it's bloody fantastic. So, I got this email from SoundCloud informing me that years-old content had been removed for breaching the platform's terms of use. Hi there, the email read. We are writing to you today because your content on SoundCloud has been found to be in breach of our terms of use on the grounds of containing illegal or extremist content. Quite the claim, I think you'll agree. That's a company quite literally accusing me of publishing criminal material, which is an allegation that one would certainly come with evidence, or at the very least specific citation. And would you believe I was provided with neither to go along with this incredibly serious allegation? In fairness, SoundCloud at least did one tiny sliver of a step more than YouTube does when it hits me with fraudulent takedowns, going so far as to provide me with the relevant portions of the TOS I was allegedly in breach of. They are as follows. 8. You must not use the platform to upload, post, store, transmit, display, copy, distribute, promote, make available, continue to make available, or otherwise communicate to the public any content that A. breaches our community guidelines, C. includes terrorist or extremist content, and 9. You must not commit or engage in or encourage, induce, solicit, or promote any conduct that would constitute a criminal offence, give rise to civil liability, or otherwise violate any law or regulation. You can imagine the shock, the anxiety, the fear that I would have felt if I hadn't been in the online media game for 15 years and didn't know exactly how goddamn spurious this nonsense was going to be. After all, you'll be able to guess exactly what happened when I tell you that the content in question was an episode of a movie review show I did with Conrad Zimmerman, the spin-off Doctors, in which we covered Blood Rain, the Third Reich. Yeah. This was a bunch of algorithmic bullshit that had no human oversight, wasn't it? Luckily for your plucky heroine, SoundCloud's email also said, while we always strive to be fair and objective in our decision making, you have the right to dispute this decision. To do this, respond to this message with the reason you believe this removal was done in error. First of all, decision making, as if anything close to a human being's decision was in any way involved in the process up to this point. Second, the ability to just email them right back sure was convenient, so that's what I did. I think you'll find I took the situation as seriously as it deserved. Hello, darling. I'm rather confused. as the removed content is a movie review. Without the provision of specific evidence of criminality, I can only assume for now that the episode title got it flagged. As a matter of important context, the movie we reviewed is legitimately called Blood Rain: The Third Reich. I acknowledge that purchasing and watching this film could constitute abuse on par with a human rights violation, but I would argue any deleterious impact was self-inflicted. Further, the torment in question was not portrayed directly, only reported after the fact. We in no way would seek to glorify, condone, or otherwise encourage the act of watching Blood Rain: The Third Reich, starring Natasha Melth with a special appearance by Clint Howard. If there is any specific material within the podcast that violates your terms of use, please do let me know, as accusations of criminal and/or terrorist behaviour are quite serious and would necessitate a hands-on investigation of myself that could result in my discharge. Fondest nuzzles, Stephanie Sterling. Professional courtesy, thy name is me. So yeah, I didn't have to wait massively long for a reply, which disappointingly no-sold everything I said, but did conclude the matter in a way that I think we can all agree was fucking obvious. Hi there, thank you for getting back in touch. Your track had previously been taken down for objectionable content, however, after a more thorough investigation, we have deemed your track to not be in breach of our terms of use. Yeah. By a more thorough investigation, I can only assume they really mean literally an amount of investigation. There is no way anything was investigated until I responded. It is incredibly obvious that the whole process was automated, an algorithm detecting keywords without the ability to contextualize them, and flagging content that leads to boilerplate emails being sent to innocent people, casually accusing them of criminality. Soundcloud is based in Germany. I get it. They're very careful about Nazi shit over there, and with good reason, but this kind of moderation is frankly anything but careful. It's irresponsible, inaccurate, and as funny as I found the whole thing, it really is a fucked up incident when you consider the more serious implications. Whether the process was automated or not, the fact remains that SoundCloud did accuse me of vile behaviour and did so with no real investigation, no evidence, no specifics. That's not responsible content moderation. That is automated libel. I wasn't kidding when I was kidding earlier. I may have genuinely been frightened by that email if I hadn't been savvy about online platforms and immediately sussed what was up. Someone who isn't online as much, doesn't follow these kinds of stories, or is otherwise unaware of what an algorithmic crapshoot this all is, could have legitimately shit themselves to receive an email saying a podcast or song they uploaded was some form of objectionable and actionable extremism. It's not fucking cool. But this is what moderation has looked like on social media and content platforms for a long time. No human oversight, no direct responsibility, no basic credibility. It's really ineffective, especially when you consider how much hate speech actually gets to stay up completely unmoderated, or on some platforms is outright promoted. If you know me, you know I think context is one of the most important things in media. Nothing happens in a bubble. Words have meaning, and content has no meaning without context. But the bots moderating all this content aren't capable of context. They're algorithms, piles of data that recognize images and sounds, but are incapable of understanding the meaning of any of it. An automated system looking for Nazi propaganda recognizes Third Reich as a keyword associated with Nazis, and that's where its recognition ends. Capable only of basic association, you can't even say it assumes that any use of Third Reich is Nazi content, because an assumption requires some level of independent thought. I've been plagued by the contextless programs and their sub-assumptions for as long as I've been making videos, and the situation has never improved. The only learning these machines do involves learning more keywords to cast a wider net and trap more content. You can tell when the bots have been updated because you get content you uploaded like 5 years ago flagged for some new bit of bullshit, but the ability to tell a violation from a non-violation just hasn't improved, hasn't gotten better. It's just as easy to exploit as it ever was, just as open to fraudulent claims as it ever was. As we've seen from the amount of videos of mine that get flagged as inappropriate and age-gated to suppress them because I upset a bunch of precious eggshell nerdsies. Do you remember when Gilson B. Pontus slapped multiple videos with takedown claims? And no matter how many times I successfully fought those claims off, he was free to make as many as he liked. YouTube had nothing in place to stop him using their platform for fraud time and time again. YouTube didn't care what he was doing wrong, and YouTube's moderation lacked the context to tell right from wrong. There's no real oversight, no real decision making, and no real consequence for anybody abusing systems that are as easy to abuse today as they were when they were first implemented. Now these truly vacuous algorithms have been given the name AI and pushed as the hot new thing, but rest assured, what tech bros are calling artificial intelligence is literally no different than Soundcloud's joke of a moderation system. A lot of the tech being branded as new AI is fucking ancient, clunking shit that hasn't evolved in any way, shape or form. It's like a TERF's vocabulary. How convenient for me it is that Funko's use of AI was exposed as the exact same joke just a week ago. AI, such as it is called these days, is being used by major companies to protect their brands against so-called copyright infringement, right? Which to me seems like you've fed a fox full of chickens and then you're using it to guard a henhouse from other foxes. There is a special hypocrisy there that AI, which is itself plagiarism laundering, which has trawled to the internet to build an algorithm out of other people's content, is then being used by companies that have the fucking temerity to police other people's content. I think that's a very fair point. I think that's an excellent point, one that I should get at least a little trophy for, and I think that should be repeated ad nauseum in the AI debate. Because fuck you, my own work has been plagiarised by AI algorithms. It's been plagiarised to fill the databases that they use. And then I get fucking copyright bots slapping my work with takedowns or putting ads on them. Fuck you! You absolute monsters. Speaking of which... There's something particularly twisted about a platform full of creative and imaginative work being taken down by, of all things, Funko. That's what happened last week, however, when Funko had itch.io removed entirely from the internet in a situation that demonstrated beautifully how so-called AI-powered systems lack the decision-making ability required to make the decisions they've been given the ability to make. And yes, it showed how the AI fad is nothing more than a rebrand of existing old-fashioned technology that has not been improved in any way over the past 10 bloody years. It is literally the same shit I've been complaining about is happening on this accursed website since I started uploading this show here in 2014. The same I've just been through with SoundCloud. Itch, or Itch.io, or itch.io, who the fuck even knows, is a site that hosts tons of independent games, many of which have a pay-what-you-want model, which is certainly the kind of model we approve of round here. It's a valuable space for indie developers, a place with more breathing room than Steam, and there really is some great fucking stuff on there. From excellent PSX-style horror games to some truly bizarre works of art and experimental content, I recommend y'all give it a browse if you haven't before. By contrast, Funko makes Funko Pops, those insipid little figures that reflect the current state of entertainment media by reducing distinct characters to little more than a derivative branded product that strips away all but the most shallow elements. A line of plastic tats so generic, so watered down, that you wouldn't even know who half the characters were if their names weren't on the box. They're faceless mannequins that you drape costumes on, which is exactly how media company executives see them. It's no wonder there's a Funko Pop for pretty much everything, because to so-called intellectual property rights holders, Funko Pops represent their dream. Creative artworks stripped of all meaning and all crushed into the exact same fucking box. So, out of the blue, Itch announced on social media that the fine fuckfaces at Funko had done the domain equivalent of a YouTube copyright takedown strike, using the exact same kind of bot-based precision we're used to. I kid you not, stated Itch's post. Itch.io has been taken down by Funko of Funko Pop because they use some trash AI-powered brand protection software called Brand Shield that created some bogus phishing report to our registrar I Want My Name, who ignored our response and just disabled the domain. Brand Shield is a hilarious fucking name for a number of reasons, not least for the fact that a shield is protective and preventative. This is a brand club. It's intended quite clearly to attack and do so inelegantly. Actually, it'd be more comparable to a brand blunderbuss, with blunder being the operative fucking part of the word. It's indiscriminate, as evidenced by just how much the thing shot first and didn't even bother to ask questions later. The fact I Want My Name disabled the domain without asking questions also is a little fucking alarming and speaks volumes about the presumed authority of major corporations. Again, like we've seen in over 10 years of companies protecting their brands, the claimants are constantly given free rein to make whatever bloody claims they like, no matter how spurious. Brand Shield's AI behaved like the bots that have trolled YouTube for years, which speaks volumes, I feel, about how little development has actually gone into the shitty algorithms that power this snake oil. Over a decade of algorithms being used to fight alleged infringement, and it's still a complete scattergun that's just as inaccurate, just as reckless, just as fucking pathetic as it's always been. The tech bros pushing this shit simply don't care about the collateral damage caused by cheap and lazy bots masquerading as artificially intelligent brand protection. It's not like they get caught by the splash damage. They're happy to let the scatterguns shoot, and if they're proven wrong to a loud enough degree, they can fix it later at their discretion. This is what Funko did after Brand Shield's reckless nonsense generated enough public heat. At Funko, we hold a deep respect and appreciation for indie games, indie gamers, and indie developers, said Funko with all the believable sincerity of Billy Sarcastic, Suffolk's most sarcastic boy. We're fans of fans. Oh, that just made my skin crawl. And we love the creativity and passion that define the indie gaming community. Recently, one of our brand protection partners identified a page on Itch imitating the Funko Fusion development website. What was it, just a picture of a poo? A takedown request was issued to address this specific page. Funko did not request a takedown of the Itch platform, and we're happy the site was back up by this morning. We have reached out to Itch to engage with them on the issue, and we deeply appreciate the understanding of the gaming community as the details are determined. Thank you for sharing in our passion for creativity. So Funko's sort of minimised what's gone on here. They've not really addressed why the entire website went down. Though, as Jimquisition subtitler Laura Kate Dale pointed out to me, there is every possibility that an innocent DMCA takedown was issued and the domain overreacted and pulled the whole thing. And considering that Itch did try to straighten this out and I Want My Name didn't fucking listen, there's definitely some blame to go around. I do have to wonder though, how automated I Want My Name system is. I don't know how the situation could get this stupid if there was any human oversight. That is the situation on plenty of platforms now. It's bots telling other bots that someone did something wrong, and that accusation being taken at face value because context is fucking dead. The whole situation reeks of what I described earlier, the same unwieldy, contextless, oversight-deprived scattergun that has characterised online content policing for so long. You'll notice Funko didn't say anything about Brand Shield in its little statement either. Because it knows. This all highlights what a fucking grift AI truly is. Nothing approaching a single shred of intelligence goes anywhere near these processes until the incompetent results cause a hassle and a human is begrudgingly brought in to fix it. Oh, you'll also notice that Funko didn't say sorry. Lots of cruelly drivel about appreciation and love, as if corpos have ever been capable of feeling either. But sorry really does seem to be the hardest word for these clowns.
Only the clown is impressed. The audience sees through everything that's happening.
They'll thank you for your understanding every time, but they won't thank you for your forgiveness because they don't seek it. In all my years of being fucked over by algorithmic ineptitude, the first time I've ever seen the word apologise anywhere near a retraction was in that email from SoundCloud. And after accusing me of being a terrorist, that's about the least they could have done. Good fucking lord though. Tech industry scam artists are expecting AI to be able to write entire movies now, when it can't even tell the difference between a movie title and Nazi terrorism. Pretty much says it all about the level of respect they have for any of the shit their shenanigans are ruining. Funko Fusion is a shit game. It is sick that AI is being used to protect the copyrighted material, to protect the intellectual property of the very same corporations who are using those AIs built from stolen data, from stolen work, from laundered plagiarism. Thank God for me, but Jesus Christ. Ow.